But Bill, like many men, is more concerned with his hair than with his wrinkles.
Probably about my mid-30s, started seeing a bit of a receding hairline, the widow's peak starting to go deeper into the scalp line, and then all of a sudden this stuff up here starting to go ahead and slowly disappear, and seeing globs of hair in the sink and the tub, you know. I've always tried to maintain the attitude that if I'm going to go bald, I'll do it gracefully. And I'm finding that there are times that I just look at myself in the mirror and say, no, I'm going to change my attitude and I'm going to go kicking and screaming.
And Bill is not alone. A U.S. poll found that 1 in 4 bald men would happily sacrifice 5 years of life for a full head of hair. So it stands to reason that treating hair loss is now a $1.5 billion a year industry. But what exactly is male pattern balding? Dr. Richard Lee is one of the premier balding experts in the country.
Male pattern baldness, or female pattern baldness, is really not a loss in the number of hairs. It's lost in the quality of the hair. So if you look at anyone real closely, in the areas in which they are, quote, bald or receding, you'll find that there's still hair coming out of each papilla, although the quality of that hair may have been substantially reduced.
In those who are genetically predisposed to balding, hair loss occurs when the follicles in the scalp are miniaturized by the male hormone dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. DHT causes the follicles to shrink and shortens the growth phase. While there is no cure for hair loss, balding treatments are everywhere.
Actually, there are only 2 medications which have been FDA approved for male pattern baldness. The first was Rogaine, introduced in 1988.
Minoxidil, commonly known as Rogaine, works by revitalizing the shrunken hair follicles, helping them to produce normal hairs.
And it works very well in conjunction with something that would decrease the amount of DHT in the scalp. And that's where the FDA came to approve the second medication, which was Propecia. Propecia are 1 milligram tablets of finasteride.
Finasteride reduces the amount of DHT in the bloodstream, allowing hair to grow without DHT inhibitors.
So the advantages of topical minoxidil are that it's inexpensive, it can be quite effective, but the downside is it's inconvenient to use. That is, a lot of men and women don't like the idea of applying it twice a day. With the finasteride, there's also advantages and disadvantages. The advantages being it's very convenient to use. You take a tablet a day, and that solves your problem, hopefully. Okay. The downside is it can be fairly expensive, and it can have side effects. Side effects being decreased libido, to the point that some men actually have a partial impotence with it. So not a great trade-off if you have side effects. Probably more than any other factors, the most important determination of whether or not you're going to have male pattern baldness is really genetic. Okay?
Contrary to popular belief, we can inherit the baldness gene from either parent. But other than our personal vanity, do we really need hair?
No, actually no one ever died from hair loss, although it's very interesting. You know, people ask, what is the advantage of having hair anyway? And there was an observation made by one of Napoleon Bonaparte's surgeons, one of his doctors in the field. And when they had invaded Russia, the men who didn't have hair died first. And they died first because there is some protection from the cold. So I guess it does serve some purpose.